Thank you, everybody. We wanted to make sure and give our introduction. Thank you, Tanya, for already providing all of our background information. We are really happy with our headshots that we did this year, which we find when at a virtual school, technology and certain things that we normally don't think of at a in-person school can add really to our program. So again, my name is Christy Araki.
My name is Elsa Banuelos.
And my name is Yumi Saiki.
All right, welcome everyone. We are very excited to have you join us for this webinar on Virtual Counseling 101. We hope our experiences and newfound insights in virtual counseling provide you with valuable information and ideas to help you gain a better understanding of a different type of program for school counseling. This is the QR code for our school website. And for those of you that are interested, it is launch.sweetwaterschools.org, but please feel free to use this QR code. Ms. Saiki, if you could go ahead and give an example. This is our school website, which we are really proud of. It's basically the beginning informational site for many of our students and families that are interested. It also goes into our 2022 and 2023 enrollment, as right now we are looking at students enrolling for the next year, our registration process, which also gives students and families the links to our presentations for prospective students. We feel strongly that for every student and family that would like to register and be a student at Launch Academy, that they know exactly what our school involves, our programs, and our expectation. So for every student and family that is interested, they do attend an orientation informational meeting, which we do offer in person and virtual. Actually, Ms. Saiki just attended as the counselor last night for our in-person new student orientation meeting. Thank you, Ms. Saiki. All right, so some history about Launch Virtual Academy. We opened 1 year ago. The idea and need, though, of a virtual school has been discussed and researched for several years prior to the pandemic, because we realized the importance of a different learning environment and opportunity for our students and families is really needed. At the time that it was open last year, it was done, of course, during the distance learning year. It had approximately 250 students. There were 10 teachers with 1 full-time counselor. And then jumping to this year, we currently have an enrollment of approximately 750 students. This includes 32 teachers, 2 full-time counselors, with a scheduling system and a support system in place for our students and families. I have to say that people have wondered if our enrollment has significantly dropped with the pandemic, and the students and families may be feeling more comfortable going back to in-person. And what I can say is our enrollment has done nothing but increase. And I feel like that really goes into the quality of program that we're offering and the need for this other type of schooling program, which is virtual. So yes, we do have students here because of the pandemic and concerns of health, but I can tell you our enrollment has significantly increased, and we anticipate that for next year also. Besides the 32 teachers and the 2 counselors, we also have full-time administration staff, which includes a principal, an assistant principal. We have a student program facilitator and tester. We have a attendance technician, a full-time registrar. So we do have the support and staff needed for the program to be successful, which is something that we know is going to make a difference. And we are very happy that our district supports that. All right, distance learning versus virtual counseling. For those counselors that were doing distance learning in the past year, 2 years, and what we are doing here is very different. The first question Miss Saiki and I are asked many times is, how do we like working from home? I can tell you that we do not work from home. Our staff does not work from home. We are all located in offices on the district school sites. So for our program, we have at the same site is going to be the counseling center, our administration, our support staff, our registrar, and we do have some teachers, which is very important when it comes to collaboration and communication. We know as counselors that yes, we do have to take work home. Even when I was a counselor, of course, at my comprehensive high school, we have to do credit checks, review transcripts, scheduling. But for virtual counseling for our program, we have our offices and our hours are on district school sites. And another difference is that our students and parents and our staff choose to enroll in this program, which makes a great, it's a big difference in the students wanting to be successful. The vision of this program from our staff and always looking to improve and ideas and collaborating. It's been very exciting. It's like opening a new school, but the students, parents, and staff choose to be here, which when it became distance learning, that was not the case. Our school has high expectations. We have high expectations from our staff, high expectations for our students. We as counselors in our counseling department, we set very high expectations for our program, but we also have the support around to be successful. So that goes across the board from students to parents to the counselors. We have in-person services available. As we know through distance learning, that did not exist. Here with our virtually learning, our virtual school counseling program and our school, in-person services are available for students and parents to come meet with us in person, to meet with an administrator, staff members. That is very important. And then also weekly staff trainings and meetings. That constant communication is necessary and extremely valuable when it comes to virtual counseling and a virtual school. We have to have a closer collaboration with our administrators and our teachers. And honestly, within our department, it's more important than ever. Guaranteed services. Ms. Saiki and I feel strongly that while we are a virtual school, we wanted to make sure and serve the needs of our students as well as we can and across the board for all their needs. So at a comprehensive in-person school, there are a lot of services that every student gets, which we want and we brought into our virtual school. Academically, we do credit checks. We meet with our students, senior credit checks. Right now, Ms. Saiki and I are very actively meeting with our students for appointments regarding senior checkout, credits. Where do you stand to graduate? What do you have to do? We are having a senior breakfast that's in person. We are handing out sashes to our seniors. Articulation for the next school year still happens for all of our students. We do still provide support and presentations about college, four-year colleges, community colleges. Our presentations are virtual, that students sign up and that colleges participate just for our program. We have virtual college fairs, financial aid workshops and presentations, and also scholarship information. And we're really excited that Ms. Saiki is our scholarship counselor, and she's amazing in providing that information and opportunities for our students. As for the career background information, we use a program called Thrively. Thrively is very well known in our district. So if you're not within our district, Thrively is an online strength assessment and career exploration program. And this is something that we really feel strongly that our middle school students need to start looking at this and not wait until high school. As a high school counselor, I know for years we focused college, college, college first, and then figuring out what your major is and what you might want to study. We're flipping that idea in that students really, we want them to get an idea of what they're interested in, what major they might want to be in, what college could they go into, what kind of education would they need. So they're coming into high school with more of the career background information. We know that mental health at every school site is something that we are constantly wanting to look at and help and support our students. Here at a virtual school, more important than ever is the mental health of our students and making sure that we support and are able to provide them with resources. We have a wellness survey. We do referrals to community resource centers and agencies. Meetings, we do a lot of in-person meetings for our mental health concerns with our students and parents. And we also had suicide awareness presentations. And I know Ms. Saiki will be speaking further about our mental health services that we provide. So our virtual students. As I stated earlier, every student that is here for a reason. And the program that we offer is a wide variety of students. So our students range from being credit deficient, whether or not it was due to the past year, the past 2 years, it could have been a variety of reasons of um, distance learning versus health versus family situations. We have students with IEPs. We have students that are ELD, and we have students that have above a 3.5 and higher A through G GPA, 4-year college bound, highly, highly successful in their academics. So we have to make sure to offer the best program to meet the needs of all of those students. So for our credit deficient students, we do offer credit recovery programs. We do have credit recovery classes and completion courses over every break that we have during the school year, including summer school. We're doing summer school virtually. We do offer opportunities to advance. So for our students that are successful, doing well, want to get ahead, possibly graduate early, we are able to give them classes and programs to work ahead. And we are really proud and happy that for next year, we are partnering with Southwestern College to do synchronous virtual classes for our Launch Academy students. So we're really excited about that for next year. Our students in the mental health part, we do have students with high anxiety, depression, students that have been hospitalized or could be in outpatient treatment right now. Students that have had been bullied in the past as in-person schools and PTSD. So this program really offers them the opportunity to take care of their health and to feel safe and to feel still connected and get their education that's needed as they're working on their mental health. So at a virtual school, I really want to make sure that everybody understands the needs of all the students and how important it is to meet those needs. And Ms. Saiki is going to present now.
And so continuing on, I know that that Ms. Araki has touched on different areas of mental health, but as counselors, we know that the need for personal wellness has always been there. But for those of us who went through the pandemic and distance learning and trying to counsel from home, we really recognize that there are lapses in what wellness looks like for our students, but also for us and our staff when we are not all together. As educators and student advocates, we really reflected on the need to build resiliency and how to teach students how to develop coping mechanisms when they are not with us in person, in our classrooms, in our offices, where we can provide them that in-person support. So during distance learning and immediately following, our district pulled together some resources and created a student wellness plan, which you can see a screenshot here. The goal for this was to really work with students to complete this wellness plan and highlight what their personal strengths were, what they already had within them that helped them get through difficult times, to focus on some coping skills that they had, ones that they could develop, and it also identifies systems of support so that even when they're not with us at school in person, who can they lean on when they're in crisis or when they need some extra support. This wellness plan is across the board at all of the schools within our district, and counseling centers have been implementing these wellness plans in different ways. So for us in a virtual setting, we had to look at what is the actual wellness plan, how do we adapt it to what our needs in terms of disseminating the information, gathering that information, and how do we utilize that once we have it. So we did change the format a little bit, keeping the same content, but really encouraging all of our students, and it was sent out to all of our students and our families as part of a conversation to, as they're at home working on and sometimes feeling alone, who do they have to support them? What can they do in those situations? And then we're able to, as their counselors, use this information as we follow up with them. So as we meet with them one-on-one or with their families, being able to utilize the information that they've submitted to remind them, you know how to do this, you can get through this. So this is definitely an integral part of our wellness plan at Launch Academy. In addition to that, we have a virtual wellness room. I know that there are a lot of counseling centers all over who have started to build wellness rooms at their schools. So what we have, and I'll go ahead and click on it, is a virtual wellness room that is accessible to our students day and night. This is a place for students to have access to hotlines and warm lines. So if they are in crisis, if they do need someone to talk to, we have that information there. In addition to that, there are links to apps and resources to support students in all areas of wellness, not just physical wellness, although we have that here talking about sleep and the importance of hydration, but also mental and emotional wellness. Resources and videos on practicing mindfulness and meditation, encouraging students to tap into those coping mechanisms and skills that they already have in terms of their creativity. We even have animal cams on here and puzzles and activities. So this is something that's available to our students and is posted on our school website and is also a part of our Launch Connect, which is our integrated into our Canvas communication system, so that students have this. We found that a lot of our students are working overnight, well past the hours of our actual school, and so this is a resource that's available to them and to their families. In addition to student wellness, personal wellness is also something that's really important. I know that for myself, while I was working from home during distance learning, I found myself working way more hours than I was even when I was at a comprehensive school counseling site. And so that's kind of continuing on with virtual counseling. And as I've moved to a virtual setting, it's been really important to really be clear about establishing boundaries. Setting office hours, set times where students are available to make appointments with us, to call in, and where we'll be responding to emails. That's really important. I know for myself, I was somebody who, and I still, I'll admit it, I have my email on my phone, and I would check my email at all times, and I've actually had to stop that because As I mentioned, our students are doing their work when they're most comfortable doing their work, which is usually in the evenings. And so we'll get emails at 9 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night, 3 o'clock in the morning. And so really important as a counselor to set those boundaries, turn off the phone, turn off the computer, and making sure that we have time for ourselves to replenish our resources. It's also been really great as part of our wellness to be able to consult with the team, having everyone here from our administrative team in person at the same site so that we can walk around the corner. Myself and Ms. Araki, we're in the same office, so we can just call over the partition. But we have our principal here, our assistant principal here, a lot of resources and support here. So knowing that we are not alone in tackling situations and we can really collaborate as a team to help support our students, which is the same at an in-person comprehensive site. In addition to all of this building wellness, it's also important to talk about safety and what do we do when there is a crisis situation, when our students are at risk. What do we do when our students aren't physically present with us? And again, this is something that we encountered while we were counseling from home. And so this is something that we've worked with our district on that started during distance learning, and we've really been working closely with our district partners to figure out what the protocol is in a full-time virtual setting. So making sure that whether it's us as counselors or the teachers who are supporting the students, that we establish immediate safety. We make sure that the student is in a safe place, they have some stability, that we establish contact with a parent or adult. Sometimes that's taking the laptop if the student is online with us and walking it over to a parent or another adult who's there to make sure that they're with somebody who's going to keep them safe. And then going through the same process that we would in person, assessing the risk. Does the student have any ideation, other risk factors? And then based on that would be the plan when we move forward, whether that's having the parent take the student to receive immediate services, whether that's making a referral to a community or a family resource agency that we work with, and then always making sure that we follow up. So we're still providing those supports and those risk assessments with our students. It just looks a little bit different. And sometimes can take a little bit longer, but we're really grateful to collaborate not only with our team here, but also with the district to figure out what that looks like across the board. As Ms. Araki had mentioned, we are based at a physical location, and we're very lucky to have all of our main office together at one site. So you can kind of get a look. This is our main office. We are based in several bungalows at the back of one of our schools within our district. And in our main office site, we have our administrators, we have our principal secretary, registrar, tester, attendance technician, counselors, and several teachers and other support staff. And we make it work. This is our counseling center bungalow, and this is the inside. And we actually, these bungalows were part of a charter school prior to us being here, and the counseling center is actually based in the kindergarten classroom. So there's a lot of paint on the walls, but we have really pulled together a lot of resources, and because we do have students who come in person and families who come in person, we want to make sure that our counseling center is as warm and welcoming as possible. So our counseling center is the result of donations, of counselor resources, and a lot of time and effort from not just us and our staff here, but our friends and family who've helped to come together and build a warm and welcoming and supportive counseling center for our students. In addition to that, so that's our physical counseling center. And in addition to that, since we are a virtual school, a lot of our resources are built around technology and making sure that we have the tools and resources to be able to support our students as they are going through this virtual experience. One of the key things is a docking station. We are constantly moving around to meet with families as they come into on board, to go to meetings in other offices. So being able to have our setup, have our, two screens, which is great as a counselor, but being able to unplug very quickly and move to another site, to go outside to meet with a family if they prefer to meet outside or in another conference room is really an important part of our technology setup. We do use Microsoft Teams as our primary platform for communicating. Our students have used Teams to attend their live sessions with their teachers. They use Teams to meet one-on-one with their teachers during office hours, with their academic coaches. And then we also utilize Teams for our meetings. Even though we do have some staff in person and are able to have some in-person meetings, we do primarily use Teams since we're based at different locations. So whether it's an SST meeting or an IEP meeting, a meeting with our students and families, we do utilize Teams. Canvas is the learning management system that our students use to go through their classrooms or through their classes. So I know that our administrative staff has really put together a lot of time to integrate that learning management system so that students are able to go, it's a one stop in terms of their courses. They go through Canvas and they're able to access all of their courses, and then the school resources, which we call Launch Connect, where students can find that virtual wellness room. They're able to select their courses through Launch Connect. They're able to access all of their teachers' links to be able to make appointments with them and other important announcements. In addition to all of this technology and all of these great platforms, our school has also invested in Calendly. Calendly is an external service, calendar appointment service that's web-based that our school has invested in for all of our teachers and counselors. I'm going to go ahead and click on this. For those of you who are not familiar with Calendly, it's a place for people to make online appointments with us. So this is the link to my personal Calendly for my students, and you can see that we're able to identify different types of appointments that students may have with us and families may want to schedule with us, including our grad meetings that Ms. Araki was talking about earlier, whether it's talking about choosing their courses for next year or scheduling a one-on-one appointment with us. This is integrated with our Microsoft Exchange calendar, and because our school has invested in the professional version of this, we're able to link it to other calendars that we may use, whether it's a Google Calendar or another personal calendar. Students are able to click on, and teachers and counselors, our staff are able to set office hours. So again, making sure that we establish, as we're talking about boundaries, what our working office hours are, making sure that we schedule time to take a lunch and to take a breather in between appointments. But this has been really an important resource for us and something that we all use, not just counselors, but teachers as they are setting office hours with their students, and that students know that they're available, whether it's making one appointment because they have a question. We have students who have ongoing appointments, regular appointments with their teachers. So that's been a great tool for us. In addition to our physical location, our technology, we've also started to build our department and what a virtual counseling department looks like. As Ms. Araki mentioned, we started off with one full-time counselor in the first and second year. That grew during the first semester to a full-time counselor and a part-time counselor, along with our amazing counseling intern. And at the end of semester one, we were able to increase our numbers to have 2 full-time counselors, which is how I was able to join the team. We do right now have a 360-to-1 caseload, and that is the same as at the comprehensive sites. That is, in all honesty, something that an area for improvement and something that we are hoping to address, because as those of us who went through distance counseling, distance learning at home, we realize things take a little bit longer when we're virtual, when we're not with our students. And so looking at how can we best support our students and meet all of their needs, making sure that we address the needs of all of the students who are here. And that is definitely an area that we're hoping to improve on in the coming years. And just to give you a snippet of what it looks like, how that does, why things do take a little bit longer. We just kind of wanted to give you an overview of the day, an average day in the life of a virtual school counselor, of a launch counselor. So as I mentioned, our students are usually doing their schoolwork overnight. And that means that when we come in the morning and log onto our computers, we have emails from overnight, from when we shut down our computers at 3 or 4 o'clock until we come in the morning. And that can be anywhere from 10 to 20 emails. Sometimes it's less, as we know at the start of every grading system, at the start of every quarter, it will probably be more. And then we have our scheduled appointments. Our students do use Calendly to schedule virtual appointments with us. Phone calls sometimes work better for our families or our parents. And then we do have those in-person meetings. We can have anywhere from 6 to 10 scheduled meetings and appointments with those families, which can take anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes for the actual appointment. After each appointment, there is some follow-up that needs to happen. That can be a follow-up in terms of emails to teachers or administrators. Sometimes we need to connect our students to our tester or student program facilitator, especially right now we are going through the SBAC testing and LPAC testing. So if the student is having difficulty accessing that, we're able to connect them to our support staff here. Schedule changes. Just because they're virtual and we have shorter grading periods, the students still want to change their schedule. So it's having that conversation. Credit recovery is another area that we are constantly recovering credits. Because we are an alternative education site, students do have additional opportunities to finish up their credits from previous quarters, and that extends all throughout the year. So that's following up if a student says that they've completed a credit, but it's not in our system yet, trying to hunt down those grades, those credit change or grade change forms to see when those changes will take effect. And then making sure that we document. It's really important, especially since we're not with the student, making sure that we document in our student management system, any of the details of the meeting, making sure that we send a follow-up email to the parents and families. These are all of the things that are going to happen, that you need to do, that we are going to do, and making sure that that's there. So all of that follow-up can take 30 minutes, sometimes less, sometimes more, depending on the situation. And those are scheduled appointments.
There was one question in the chat. What is the reason for students doing their work overnight? Do they have other obligations during the day?
Sure, that's a great question. And as Ms. Araki said, we have a variety of different students. So absolutely, we have students who are working during the day to support their families. So we do have students with work permits who are working quite a bit. And we also know that because of our system and the majority of the work that students do is independent. So while they do have live sessions with their teachers, they are shorter. And it's more of a flipped classroom model for those of you who are familiar with the flipped classroom, where the students meet with their teachers, they receive instructions, but the majority of the work that they do is on their own. And students then, since they have access to the coursework virtually anytime through Canvas, they do the work when they are most comfortable doing the work. And as teenagers, we know that they're alert at night. In the morning, it tends to be a little bit slower for them, so they like to do their work at night. So it could be for a variety of different reasons, but we do find that the bulk of our students do work after school hours, definitely after that lunchtime. But thank you for that question. So in addition to those appointments, we do have walk-ins, and that's true at any site, right? So sometimes we'll have students who come in person to onboard, to meet with our registrar, obtain their device. They'll meet with a support staff here, with a teacher here to take them through all of the different platforms. But then they want to meet with their counselor, which is fantastic. And we're always happy to meet with them, look at their transcript, talk about the plan to recover credits if that's necessary, talk about post-secondary plans. We also have direct phone calls. I can hear Ms. Araki's phone has been going off during this presentation. Because we are still building our site, we have our phone calls come directly to us. We do have a main office line, but we don't have per se, a counseling secretary. So students are able and families are able to call directly to our phone line. We will have teacher phone calls. Teachers will call us from their classrooms, and sometimes we'll be working and our teams will go off because we have a teacher who has a question or needs some support. And then as we know, as counselors, we spend a lot of time, we call triaging with students. And that's really, we're very grateful and fortunate that our students see us as their primary contact for any support that they may have, but then it's following up with, so they're having connectivity issues. There's something's not right with their schedule or with the platform, any sort of mental health. So as those come in, making sure that we're able to stop what we're doing and address those issues. The last thing that we do still have our scheduled weekly meetings. So we have our daily meetings and appointments. We do meet as a counseling department, which is really important to, even though we're all together, making sure that we allocate that time to check in, to plan out our calendar, not just for the next few weeks, but also talking about as we build our program, what are areas for improvement, what do we need to focus on. We have a calendar meeting with our administrative staff and support here in the main office. We do have weekly faculty meetings with the teachers, IEP meetings that we are called into to make sure that we meet with families, and then SST meetings on a biweekly basis. And for connecting with students and families and talking more about those meetings, I'm going to pass it over to Ms. Araki.
Thank you, Ms. Saiki. As Ms. Saiki had already mentioned, the type of meetings that we do offer, of course, it's going to be virtual, phone, email, messaging, in person. At a virtual school, it's so important that we offer a variety of ways for us to contact, communicate, and meet with families for the best that we can serve them. It's because, not everybody is comfortable with Microsoft Teams meetings, virtual meetings. As we are a virtual school, we will say to parents and families, you do not have to be a tech whiz when it comes to going to a virtual school. We will help you. We will show you. We will teach you how to use our technology. But we want to always make sure that our students and parents meet with us, talk to us, communicate with us in what they're comfortable with. Once we can gain that trust and that practice, it is going to improve our relationship with them. And then we can look at alternative ways. But I really feel strongly that for our students and families, we have to offer that variety, contact, communication, information. As Ms. Saiki said, when it even comes to phone calls, when I was a school counselor at in-person school, it was the counseling center phone number that all of my families received and my students. But here they get our direct line. So if I don't answer, I get that message right away and we call back. If I'm at my desk and I'm not in a presentation, I can answer that phone call. Best practices, I think that as counselors, we all know how important it is to really make sure and connect with our students. I have to tell you, being at the same high school the past 16 years before I made that move here to launch Virtual Academy, I was worried about the connection that I would possibly lose with students and even teachers that happens when you are working at a site in person. Based on what we've built here and what we've done, I am so personally and professionally satisfied with my connection and my communication and the relationships that I've built with the families here and our students. And I think that's important because, as a counselor, we always want to make sure that, that's part of why we go into this job is because we want to help, we want to have that connection with families. And in a virtual school with where I'm at right now and what I'm doing, I am completely satisfied with the connection and what we are achieving. Now, does it take a lot more work, for me to try and get that and gain that? Yes. But I chose to be here, and I know that once I can get that, it just keeps going. So I just wanted to touch base on that lightly professionally for myself at a virtual school because I've had colleagues and people ask me is that don't I miss talking to kids? And what I tell them is I talk to kids and parents all day. So in case people were wondering about the virtual contact. And so, as I know that there might be some people attending where you might be a new counselor or someone that is getting into a counseling position, we feel that it's important that someone like Ms. Banuelos is here to speak to you about a perspective being an intern and also a new counselor.
Thank you, Ms. Araki. And from what I can say is my experience before being a counselor intern was working at an in-person site comprehensive school for 6 years, for over 6 years. And had the opportunity to get to know students one-on-one in person, meet the families on campus, and then walk them over it could be the counselor office, the attendance office, or the administrators to get them the help, the services that they may need. Um, I I've also had the chance to work with youth in transition, English language learner students, and then the students that may need a little extra academic support. And if I was able to walk down and talk to a teacher and bring them down to after school tutoring, that was a plus for me. So also going, like Mr. Aki said, making the change to decide to go an intern at a virtual school was a little bit daunting in the beginning because I had the same feeling of, will I be missing out on creating those connections as a counselor, as a new prospective counselor? Would I be missing out on that because I'm no longer in person? Um, but for my intern experience, I can say it's been absolutely wonderful. I've had the opportunity to see a program grow almost from the ground up just because it was over a year old when I joined. And because of the experience that I already had working with students on site, I was able to develop those skills even more to do it in a virtual setting. So communicating with our students via Teams, contacting them by phone, emailing them, using our Canvas Launch Connect course to be able to connect with them as well and provide resources and information to them. Um, that was a big plus. But on the other side, as a new counselor, I also had the chance to see firsthand the behind the scenes of what goes into creating a new program and what goes entailed to that. I saw Miss Araki working so many hours and working with the administrators to develop those first master schedules, those first articulation meetings with the students and what that would look like to get those courses in for each student at every quarter instead of on a yearly basis. And I found that working on the master schedule and articulation for a virtual school did have its differences. Um, it was very much making sure you're connecting at any moment in time with your administrators, with the teachers, and understanding that the information had to be sent out to our students in a timely manner, all electronically. Um, and then virtual meetings and making connections with the students and the families, just like Ms. Araki said, I don't feel like I've missed out on that. We've had a lot of parents decide to come in person, but a lot of parents that have taken on the challenge of joining in online and learning along the way just the same as their own student and connecting them with their teachers on the spot, having the opportunity to have a teacher-parent conference with the counselor in the same room can sometimes be difficult because of timing. We're able to have that option at our Launch Academy because we use Microsoft Teams. So um, that has been a great um, experience that I have been able to observe and not only observe but take part in, and then me myself have those meetings with teachers and students as well. I do remember I had a senior at the beginning of the second semester that just kept checking in through Teams, through our messaging program just to see how he was doing, making sure that he would be able to graduate early because he had all of his credits, and he was on track. So he made sure that he was always trying to get in contact with me, and it was a very nice experience that I still felt like I had a student walking in an office setting, like as if I were on campus in person school. I still had that same feeling. I must say though, that being at a comprehensive school site has its pros as well, just because I'm able to find a student very quickly, go meet with them, go meet with their teachers, go meet with the families or administrators in a moment's notice. And having to plan out, it can take a little extra steps to make those referrals, to go find the teacher, to make some time to meet with them. So there are pros to both sides. It's just making sure to use the skills that I have learned to, in the end, help the student be successful and advocate for them as well. Overall, though, I would say it's been a very unique experience for me as a new counselor to come in and be able to support 7th through 13th graders and learn how to connect with them in a virtual setting, while still advocating for them and working closely. So it's been a wonderful experience on my end, and I'm very grateful that I've had both experiences in an in-person and virtual setting.
All right. So as we're closing out this presentation, I want to make sure everybody that is present understands that I'm very proud of how our school is running and what we are presenting, but it didn't start that way. It didn't start that way. It took a lot of time. It took a lot of planning. It took a lot of collaboration. And so, what Miss Saiki and I wanted to make sure and do is to share the information with you as we are at this point now, but we are still learning and we are still developing things to do better. Um, and so, I hope this was also helpful. I also wanted to add our jobs, we know is we take a lot of on our shoulders from our students and the and time away from our family, but it's so important to take care of ourselves more than ever. Things that Miss Psyche and I have done is that we go for walks. We at a school site, you're attached to your desk, but here we are on our computers all day. So for us, take that time, whether it's have a lunch, go for a walk, get outside. That has been extremely, extremely helpful. Also, the staff, the people around you, the support, that vision has been something that has really been exciting. And if there's anybody out there that's looking at maybe having a change, looking at maybe starting going into a virtual school counseling program, I really encourage it. It is not easier. It's something that, though it is building this program, is so exciting and truly needed for all students and families to have accessible to them. And so to close out, we wanted to say thank you. This is a picture that we took with our administrators for National School Counseling Week. As I said, we have amazing administrative staff. Dr. Jesus Leo Ulloa is our principal. Miss Courtney Quinn is our assistant principal. And we are so happy that you have joined us. And we hope that we provided some information, some things that you could learn. If you have any questions, we'd be more than happy to answer any questions right now also.
Wonderful. And as you're putting your questions in the chat, I just want to personally say thank you to the three of you for presenting on this today. This is a new concept, and I love that you highlighted the difference between distance learning and virtual learning and virtual school counseling. And another piece is that because you were a part of this development from the ground floor up, you've put a comprehensive school counseling program together virtually with your administrators. And I mean, if we could have all started fresh like that with all of our schools, I think it would just be so powerful. So I really commend all of you for your hard work. I know this isn't easy. You developed it well. You've provided services, and 750 students, that's a lot. And just a quick question, can you share, because we have several people on this webinar who are from outside of San Diego, can you share the different demographics that you serve in Sweetwater Unified?
So with our demographics, because we are in our district an alternative school program, we have students from throughout our district. So we are not mapped out to just have our local resident students. We take students from anywhere in our district. We help accommodate many students that might have health issues all of a sudden that arise. Um, we have a professional chess player that travels and so needs that flexibility of learning and completing credits in classes. And that's, I have to tell you as a counselor, that is really fulfilling to meet so many different types of students with the backgrounds and the needs. So yes, Tanya, we have all different from all over, and even all from San Diego too. We serve anybody interested.
Great. Well, thank you all again. And I know Zarette went ahead and put the survey into the chat. And there's the slide with another link. And you can easily just point your camera from your phone to the QR code and the survey will pop up. But if you could just jump into that and provide some positive feedback for our presenters, that would be greatly appreciated. And if you can join us again for another webinar, we have 4 left. Sorry, I had to think ahead. We have 4 webinars left. Zarette's putting all of the links for you into the chat. But again, I just want to say thank you to our presenters presenting on this new topic, being so innovative and creative, and for definitely putting school counselors first, and the fact that you have 2 and a counseling intern, which Elsa, someone's going to pick you up. They're going to see this and they're going to go, I need that girl. So you're going to get a job. Wonderful, a wonderful job sharing your experience. So thank you again. I hope you all have a nice day and that you're able to join us again for another webinar. Have a wonderful day, everyone.